Welcome back to another episode of Duel Alliance with myself, Alicia Solomon, and Megan Hines, where every week we discuss the challenge. We are still on All Stars, and this is episode 10. We are getting down close to the finals, and thank God, because I don't know how much more I can take of these old folks just scratching and clawing at each other. However, this week I will say one of the older statesmen of this show gave a gem of a confessional. Like he took his confessionals from a 2.2 to a 22. Like he went above and beyond in his confessionals. He ate down, and that was probably the highlight of this episode for me, to be honest.
And I can see that. Aside from that, someone's wash day got ruined. Like they went to wash their hair, came back, and things are a muck. We'll get to that later. But to start the episode, it was the aftermath of Cam leaving. Leroy said he has a new ignited fire fuel to keep his star safe and get to the end and win the money. Laurel said she felt bad, but she was like, Cam kind of put herself in that situation because she was in the bottom. And then the men's side was like, okay, we're getting to the end. We need our own stars. Derek, Ace, and Ryan and Jay were like, hey, we need to win some way, somehow, whether it's elimination or a challenge period to be able to put themselves in position to get a star. And Steve said he was like, y'all can do all of that. I just want to keep my stars safe. It's either going to be me going to mission once again this season to keep it safe. Cause I'm not letting none of y'all decide if I'm not going in for one of y'all to steal it just off a whim. He's like, I'm keeping this safe no matter what. If I got to go in multiple times, even more this season.
As he should. I mean, that's the goal, to get a star to get to the final. So I don't see anything wrong with what he said.
Yeah, because it's it's very slim pickings with whoever is left and how many stars are for the final. But it's kind of also weird, like we still have a lot of people still in the house. So like if the final's on the way, how are these other people going to get a star? Unless we're just going to purge people out who don't got stars. That's the makes most sense. I feel like coming up soon.
I mean, yeah, you got six, so you got like 14 people still left. Like, a purge is definitely going to be happening probably next week.
Yeah. And we start the daily challenge. First, we know who our star holders are at the moment. Cara just got hers back. And then Adam, Veronica, Nicole, Steve, and Leroy. And the group is playing a game called Roll with It, where while situated in shopping carts, they need to cross the track to collect stars at the other end. Players must cross by lassoing poles to pull themselves or by pushing themselves off of poles directly. And the first man and woman to collect the star wins, and the last three men and women form the losing group. And everybody was struggling to use the lasso. And I was like, this is going to be a doozy.
I mean, I'm not sure what this elimination, excuse me, what this daily challenge was, because the only person who seemed equipped was Ace, because he has, I guess, lasso experience. And I think Kara kind of presumed that she did too, because she's from some flyover state. I don't remember, but uh, she said that she also has some experience. Like, I don't know. This is white people shit. I just think that Jay had the best strategy, honestly, when we get to it, because there really wasn't anything much interesting happening with these people lassoing. But I think Jay realized that he can use his body weight to push himself in the shopping cart. I think the shopping cart was also just random. But besides from that, I think Jay just thinking like, yo, instead of me trying to just keep lassoing each step, I'm just going to push myself to the finish line. And once he got over the initial part of getting over the starting line to get to other stations, he just decided to push himself off of it and push himself from post to post until he got to the finish line. And he actually passed Ace, because Ace at one point was in the lead. He was just lassoing himself around. And so once Ace got in the lead, I think Jay kind of took the initiative to step up into high gear and he pushed himself to the finish line. And Jay won, which is like, okay, I'm happy with the Jay edit this season, I think, because I think that one, he's sticking to his word, but two, he's honest in his assessments and his opinions. And I don't think he's super biased in how he thinks. And I think after listening to some of his interviews after this week's episode, I think that, he was level headed in how he was thinking of moving this season. So, I wasn't mad at Jay. I wasn't too like gung ho about seeing Jay come back just because my experience of Jay has just been the Jay and Jenna show. But I think by himself, and just playing the game with what the cards were laid out for him this season, I think he played a decent game. So him winning this week and him trying to go hard, consecutively these past couple of weeks, like I need a star, I need a star, I need a star. He put himself in a position this week to do that. So that was probably my only upside of seeing this challenge this week. Everyone else, kiss rocks. You suck ass. I don't know. Like you guys suck.
Because Jay was working smarter, not harder. And that worked out for him in this daily challenge. Because Avery, Veronica, and Flora were all stuck at the starting line. And Leroy, I'm going to put him in that category too. All of them were stuck in the back. Could not get no traction with the shopping carts. But it was also funny seeing, like, right after Jay had won and Ace was still right there. Like, you see Jay look back and Ace ended up flying backwards for like a moment. And I was like, how does this gravity within the shopping carts did not bode well for everybody? Because at one point Avery also was flying back, and I was like, this is hilarious, but it's very also random. We could have had a different mechanism of sorts for them to use to get through, but this is just a weird gag part of the daily challenge with the shopping carts. Laurel was also very strong in her pursuit this daily as well. Her and Carl like kind of neck and neck in the start, but Laurel was more so in the distance, and she got the win on the women's side, which is when I see. Good thing it is a men's week and not a women's week because we would have had another situation like last week.
I guess. Well, I'm sorry. What was the situation last week?
Well, it would have been another situation of her trying to get in again, and that would have been horrible.
I don't think they would have let her, to be honest. I don't think I think when she went back on her word last week and she showed herself to not be trustworthy in what she's saying, and then also given the fact that she's in this situationship with Nicole and they see how that's happening and playing out in the house, I don't think anyone believes Laurel in the house now. Like I think everyone's gonna be like, girl, whatever. Like, whatever. We're not listening to you. You know what I mean? Like, because you keep saying, like, you're going to do something and you not do it. And then I think just with how last week went, it was really like showing, like, nah, she really just saying whatever. So I don't think anyone would have even if she won, that's great for her. But unless she did it herself and put herself down in elimination as she said she would, I don't think anyone would believe that she would do that, to be honest.
Yeah. And at one point, also, the middle group was just slowly like making their waves. At one point, like obviously, like Ace was able to figure himself out and get past the finish line. Then Derek and Adam were right behind him. Nicole and then Cara was the last person to make it past the middle group. So basically, half of the star holders are either in the middle group or in the losing group because now the losers are Leroy, Steve, Veronica, and Ryan, Avery, and Flora. So this is going to be very interesting. Granted, like right after this elimination, Ryan was like, "Oh, I'll see you tonight to Jay, because I think Jay was like, "Hey, I'm gonna put myself in elimination," and Ryan's like, "I'll go against you," because they have like this competitive kinship, and it would have been nice for them to go at each other in elimination, but that didn't happen because while Steve was in the shower having his wash day, he skipped the step. He's like, "I'm chilling, I'm good." All the while he's doing that, well, the plan was, okay, Jay's gonna put himself into elimination. He was like, I could probably save Leroy because that's my guy. I have his back, and he could steal anyone else's stars aside from Leroy's. And the goal was, okay, we'll go against Ryan, but Ryan decided, like, hey, I don't want to go in anymore. Like, I respect the other competitor, we're good, but I don't want to go in. I think that was not the best decision.
Yes, I think two things. Going back to the ending of the challenge itself, I think it was weird that they did this whole celebration as if they won a championship. They had champagne tossing up and down, like they had, you know, people on stands as if they were winning gold medals, and they had a medal with TJ's face on it. I didn't get the point of that, but okay, y'all. I guess y'all had money to waste on budget. But like you mentioned, Jay and Ryan basically had a I conversation was just like, hey, we're gonna go in with each other because early in the episode, Ryan and Laurel were speaking, and Ryan told Laurel that he would rather go up against Jay than anyone else in the house because he feels like they're more at the same level, even though Jay is strong. And so I think with that seed that was planted earlier in the episode, and then with Ryan saying that he was going to go in, it kind of just made the stage for, okay, this is going to be Ryan against Jay. And like you mentioned, Ryan and Jay in their confessionals both mentioned that they have this kind of kinship with each other where they're one of the same. They call themselves ocelots, like basically cats that will jump at the chance to do whatever it is that is attacking them, but they'll be calm for the most part. So once I guess Ryan had the conversation with Ace and he basically just said, I don't want to do it, it kind of was just like, okay, well, now we have to figure out how else are we going to move on. And I think one thing with that is, I think it's good to mention is that when we seen Laurel backtrack last week, I think Ryan had spoke about it after the fact and said that him and Nicole were two people that spoke Laurel out of doing the elimination. And so now this week that Ryan is in the same predicament, I can see why he would think that because it's easy for you to say that in the moment, like, yeah, I'm going to go in against so and so, whatever, and try to make plans. But then when it comes down time to it, like you're going to have to stand in it. And between Laurel backtracking last week and Ryan doing that this week, I don't see how they're any different in terms of just going back on their word. Like Ryan's excuse is basically like, you know what, never mind. I think Jay can beat me. Like you can't call yourself two in the same and try to get a star, and then all of a sudden when the time comes, now all of a sudden you don't want to do it, and never mind. Like oopsies. Like take backsies. It's no backsies in this, bro. Like you either got to stand in it or not. And he's basically trying to say that he has another opportunity to get a star, but we're down to the last 2 weeks. So when is this opportunity going to come for you? And I just think that I didn't really like the move, the whole Ace situation that dragged out basically, which I guess again, you get context after the show, which I fucking hate. Like, stop making me have to go on people's social medias and read this shit, bro. I don't want to read this on my own off time. Like, damn. But anyway, Ace put a whole, Instagram post out and was like basically how Ryan was there for him when they just got to South Africa and was quarantining because Ryan's cousin had previously passed like 2 days prior before he left, and he wasn't in a good mental space. And Ryan was the only one that he was in communications with. And so he really felt connected to Ryan because he was kind to him and he was there even though he was going through all of that. And I don't think Ryan even knew the extent of what Ace was going through at the time, but I think he just extended kindness just because that's who Ryan is. So Ace felt like he had to at least give Ryan the respect of whatever you want, like I'll be there for you because you were there for me, not in the game situation, but in real life. And so I get why Ace, is trying to look out for Ryan, but Ace does it a lot where he's kind of like, I don't know, I don't feel like this. Like he's always humming and hawing. And it's like, all right, bro, at some point, you got to play the game. Like this is a game at the end of the day, and I know that you're kind to people and all this other stuff, but we got to play the game. And I think when Steve got out the shower, like you said, he after he had his wash day moment, he was kind of like, okay, now what? Because Ace basically was like, yeah, I don't know, I have to and Steve was like, so what the fuck does that mean? Did I just put coconut oil in my hair for no reason? What's going on here? And
Yeah.
Leroy, also being level-headed, was like, I don't trust none of you hoes. Like, everybody's flip-flopping. So, I don't know. Y'all saying one thing, but y'all doing other things. I saw my wife leave last week. I just had to pack the baby milk up. Like, I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about here. Figure it out. I just think that
Yeah.
this whole situation was just weird.
Like, okay, because like Steve went into his wash day like, oh, I'm not going to elimination. I'm gonna give myself a nice deep condition in my hair, all my hair, and do all of that. I'm good. I'm chilling. It's like I'm not an option. I'm good. I come out of my shower, out of my wash day, to oh, Ryan doesn't want to go in. It's like clamoring. I'm like, what is happening? Now I'm about to go into elimination possibly because people don't want to go into elimination. When I've been in elimination, most times this season out of all the guys. Like I just want a week for freeness. And I couldn't get that. That was literally Steve in that moment. Like, listen, I wanted a moment of peace. I wanted a free week. But nope, people don't want to play the game, don't want to go to elimination. When you say, like you said, if you say you want to do something, you do it. You stand in it. Ryan didn't want to do that and got Ace like saying like, oh, whatever you want to do, I got you. Okay, Friend Island, cool. Brent, this is not Friend Island. This is a challenge. Only one of y'all is winning. It'd be nice, yes, to get your peeps to the finals so y'all can run together and compete. But no. When I come out of my shower and I see that, I'm like, nah, no. But so that was the clips of Steve's wash day, and it got ruined. I'm so mad for Steve. Like he was like, I love my coconut oil in my hair, and now it gotta get messed up. It got messed up because he had to go in water again later on. But the nomination ceremony got even weirder because like Nicole started to wait for Brian and Leroy, and then Adam was like, "Oh, I'm gonna vote for Leroy and Steve because he's basically saving his own ass because he also has a star. He's like putting both of them in. It keeps him in the clear from his star. Same situation similar to Cara early in the season where she was like trying to save herself and also Rachel, but in a sense now like because they're man for himself, I was like, I'm just gonna save myself and my star and just throw Leroy and Steven save himself. And people are okay, let's just do Leroy and Steve. Makes sense. Makes sense. Then we get back to Ace and his vote, and he's like, I just want to say Leroy. I don't want to say Steve and Ryan. And I'm like, you gotta pick one. Because either way, no one's gonna get mad at you. Like, yes, you're friends with both of them men. But they're not gonna get mad at you for voting for one of them. That's not gonna happen. Because they know your heart, they know how you are. They weren't gonna get mad. You could have just stuck on the chin, like I was going with the flow. That's what I was doing. That was it. He didn't need to like just be all like laying down like I'm like getting stressed. I don't know who to vote for aside from Leroy. It didn't need to be like that.
No, I really didn't. I think he, as usual, just being dramatic, but it's in his nature to be like he's kind in a sense that that's really where his heart is. But this is a game. and this is not the same game that you were playing 20 years ago. So you're not BFFs with everyone. And I get the extent of, like I said, his relationship with Ryan, but also with Steve. So he was just put in a rock in a hard place, but he just made it more dramatic than it needed to be. And he ultimately had to choose, and he chose Steve. He didn't say Ryan. So that was that for that. And the vote was Leroy and Steve, which it is what it is. I get Adam's point. Like, we're at the end. Y'all figure it out. If it's best that my star is safe and one of you else has to go in and figure it out, that's what it is. I don't think Adam is wrong in his thought process of trying to protect himself, because who else is going to protect you but you? And I think everyone else was kind of, messed up. And Steve was like, he's trying to save his own ass, and I don't really like that game. Brother, it's the game. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day. Trying to win the final. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I think everyone keeps bringing up their own feelings and emotions and friends. And it's like, no one has time for that.
Yeah, like it's just funny. Later, like at the end of the episode, I was like, yeah, I got the thought process. Like, save yourself, let them duke it out. But how it ended up, I was like, okay, this is crazy. Y'all are weird. But we get to the arena, and Leroy and Steve come out, and Ace is like, I should be down there right now. I should have won and just put myself down there to avoid my distress and me being in shambles. And Leroy had to tell him, hey, calm down. You're good. No one's mad at you. You're fine. I was like, he's just him and hawing just because he was in distraught because he couldn't save Steve. It's okay. It happens. And the teacher was like, "Oh, Steve, you just paying rent now. You need to pay some rent because you stay down here. You live here now." I was like, "That's true. He should have have a lawn chair, a cot somewhere in the arena at this point."
I guess you want gap equity. I don't know.
And they're playing a game called Sheesh Kistak. And when DJ said the name of the game, I was like, okay, this is probably spelled a very weird way. When I looked and I saw the spelling of it, I'm like, that's really kind of easy to say, to be honest. But it is what it is. But in this game, the guys would have to enter a water tank to collect colored puzzle pieces from the bottom and do that one at a time, and then stack them on their respective poles out of the tank from lightest to dark. And because Jay did win this daily challenge this week, he was like, I'm gonna put myself in. Then he realized, crap, I'm colorblind for one, and two, my nose is messed up, so I can't really get it and do water. But I was like, okay, you better not pull a Laurel and backtrack what your plan was. Like, even though you have those two things against you right now, keep your word. Even though we were like, I don't want to trust it, but I want to hold out hope that Jay kept his word. And what did he do? Jay kept his word and put himself into elimination. Because, like, Jay still also wanted a star. The star is still on the line. So it was an opportunity. He took it. And Leroy was home free. He was saved from going into elimination this week.
Yeah, I mean, if there was any time of a week where someone was like, nah, never mind, I wouldn't have been mad if Jay was like, I don't know about this, just because of the major issues that he had and what was he up against. Like, literally, if you're colorblind, how are you going to see to put lightest to darkest when you don't even know colors? Like, how are you going to keep diving in and out of the tank if half of your nose is blocked up and you need your nose to breathe underwater? Like, there were so many odds that was against Jay that I wasn't like completely unsold of it. Like, if there was any other person, like Laurel last week, she could have got her tall ass down there. But if Jay was like, you know what, I don't know, I wouldn't have been too mad. But because I think Jay has played a great game this whole season, and he stuck with his word, and he understood, like, listen, at the end of the day, I put myself in this situation. I told Leroy that I was going to do it. And he saw last week how, going back on Cam and all that thing, the situation that happened with Laurel. So I think he already knew that weight of, I'm not going to be that person to not save and have someone believe my words. And so, he did the honorable thing. He did the thing that he said he was going to do, which is, I'm going to go down there and try to get my star and save Leroy. He went down there against Steve. I thought he had a good chance. I think that when they started off playing, it was a good duel on duel battle. Like, they were going at it really well. And he was getting it in and out very, very quickly. I will say, him being a firefighter, that definitely did help him in terms of getting up and down the ladder, climbing in and out of the tank. Like, Jay was moving. And everyone this week kept mentioning Jay's one of the stronger people. Jay's one of the stronger people. And I was kind of like, strong in what sense? Because he's cool, like, he's younger than some of these people here, so he has an upper advantage of that. He has endurance because he's a firefighter, so, like, he can do things. But we hadn't seen Jay in like 8 to 10 years, so wasn't so convinced, like, oh my god, Jay's X, Y, and Z. Like, there's other people that could be, competing with him, that it'll be a good matchup, like Steve. Like, it wasn't too far off of him and Steve going at each other. So I think that everyone kept saying Jay strong, Jay strong. I'm like, let's kind of use a different adjective. He's cool. He alright.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he alright. But he did hold his own. That's the bottom line, is that he held his own in this elimination. Of course, Nicole's yelling at him from up at top of the arena, watching him, but he's going at it. Like, her yelling, that's red, not orange. I was cracking up because this nigga can't see. He cannot see shit, bro. So, like, he's struggling. She's like, it's orange. It's orange. I was just like, bro, I would have just chucked one of them things at her face, tell her to shut up. Why are you yelling at me? And I could barely, like, I'm trying to figure this out and I could barely see. Like, you yelling from up there is not helping, sis. I promise you. It's not motivating. It's actually just a gnat in my ear.
Also, Steve decided randomly, like, to jump down from the tank, and Jay took that too, like, oh, we're both gonna just jump down. Well, that was the stupidest decision that both of them could make. Because after a while, yes, like, Jay was like going up and down the ladder, but then once they're like, okay, we just gotta kind of pick up the pace. Steve first like, oh, I'm just gonna jump down, use gravity. You gonna mess up your knees doing that. And Jay did that like a few times too. And like, okay, both of y'all did not need to be jumping off this tank. Y'all just need to take your time. Y'all both were at a good pace no matter what. But take your time a little bit and be smart about it. Don't fuck up your knees trying to be faster. That's not gonna help you in the long run. But they both, like we said, were neck and neck throughout this whole thing. Like, even though like Jay had two things going against him, he really kept up with Steve. Like, Steve was like already ahead, like on 2. Jay was right behind him. Like, it was down to literally the last pole. And Steve's strategy itself, he was like, oh, instead of going back and forth in, I'm gonna grab pieces, kind of all at once, but not really. Like, he like just took everything out one at a time, because like that was what we were supposed to do. But he took all of them out one at a time, just got them all out, and then started working on the poles. Whereas as time going with Jay, he was taking them out and then working on the pole. Steve's strategy really did help him like win this, because it came back. Like I said, came down to the last pole. All Steve had to do was just fix the one he had skipped on first hand and get that together. And Jay had like a couple more pieces still in his tank, and that led to Steve winning the donation.
Yeah. You know, Jay was almost there. It wasn't like you said, for lack of trying. He almost did really win the elimination, and I kind of was hoping that he would, just so that he can have that validation. But ultimately, he did it. Steve won, and now we have, Steve stealing a star. I do think that this is a confidence booster for Jay, though, because he had been gone for a long time, like I said, for almost 10 years. And so I think, TJ was giving him confidence too. Like, I don't know who that OJ was, but the one that I see now, like, I want to see more come back. So Jay has a newfound confidence when it comes to this game. And I think he can use that, like I know he wanted to win for his wedding and all the other stuff, but he'll be all right. Like, like he'll figure it out anyway. But I think that just his game overall this season, it was solid, and he's made new allies in this game, which I think he can take to, whatever other game that comes up, because as we know, they keep calling the same people. So some of these people we gonna see at some point. But as for Steve, he had to start a steal, and Steve was like, listen, Adam, you voted me in. I'm just gonna do the same back to you. And so he stole Adam's star and gave it to Ace. Of course, Ace is like, oh, I don't want this. Oh, I can't take this. I don't deserve this. Oh, like Ace, brother, just accept what's coming to you. Like accept the blessings and just keep it moving. You don't got to do all that. You just the hiding. The, oh my gosh, I don't want to like a damsel in distress. Like, please cut it out. What I will say is, like I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, was the best part of this episode was Adam's confessional regarding Steve stealing his star. And I think what made it so good was the juxtaposition of literally Adam praising Steve in the beginning of the episode in his confessionals. He was like, oh my God, Steve's a great man, a great husband, known him for 20 years. We were on the road rules together. That's my guy. I love him. Solid dude. I talk to him all the time. Da, 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 da. Right? Hype him up. Gas. Feel me? Good za. He gassing him. All of a sudden, now Adam starts to play the game. He's like, listen, I gotta do what I gotta do. Steve decides he gotta do what he gotta do too, and steal your star and give it to Ace. And Adam literally was just like, fuck you. Like, I don't care. Like, this is a fucking game. You know what you can do? He puts his middle finger up and tells him to sit and spin on his finger. Yo, you inviting him to the Frank stand is crazy, Adam. Like, just off of literally 42 minutes ago, you was like, he's a good man, a good father. He's a great guy. For him to now have to sit and spin on a finger, Adam is nuts. Avery, watch yourself, girl. I don't know what is up with him, because literally it's a game. So we clearly missing something in between what was happening in the house and the confessionals that were done, because we know that confessionals are done at different points of the season. And so, like, some can be done while they're filming the show, and then sometimes they're done after they're filming the show, So we don't know what happened in between or what was going on or what was said. But all I know is he went from a good man to a good father to basically inviting him to the Frank stand and told him to sit on it and not in a Jasmine Sullivan way. Like, I don't know what was happening. That was crazy to me. But he said it to perfection, though. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, he ate.
Yeah, he did. Bro, like, I mean, Living saw this man like, I'm gonna save myself. I'm gonna vote in Steve. Steve said, I'll raise you that, and I'm gonna take your star because you voted for me in. And I was like, that's a fair play. Very fair play. He could have given it to Dare. He could have given it to Ryan. You chose Ace because Ace is his Ace Boom Coon. But I was like, but you also just saw Adam's face. Like, as they were all in the arena, it's like this, like, stone, like, what the fuck just happened? Like, now I'm about to pop my revenge. And he's about to get it in tenfold. Like, he was like, Adam, you can try to take your star from Ace. That's it. I was like, okay, cool. We'll see how this is gin and juicy with the men. Like, they hadn't given us any, like, thing of, like, substance this whole season. It's women carrying. But Adam doing that heel turn, I was like, oh, okay, I like this. How this happens in tenfold next week, I don't know. But it's going to be fun to see. But it's also really interesting, too, because Forrest said something about Ace where, like, he's really playing the game, and, like, He's just there, just sitting his way through and using his basically using his like social like prowess to eat his way to the finals. Like it's smart. What are you doing, Flora? Like he's basically calling him a snake, but I'm like, what are you doing? You're just there. Like he's doing more than you are because he has a star. You don't have a star.
I mean, I think the bottom line is she's there. I'm not mad at Flora. Listen, if Flora is sitting there and just collecting a check and clocking tea, she don't got time to be worried about getting a star because she knows she's not going to win it anyway. Like, I don't think Flora is delusional in thinking that she's going to win the whole thing. I think she just should be happy to be there. She's going to keep giving her assessments on people, whether it be Ace, whether it be Cara, whether it be whoever it is. Like, she's just there collecting tea. I'm not mad at it. Like, Ace is there because, like you said, he has relationships with people and, he's able to use that kind of like secondhand embarrassment kind of thing where he makes it super awkward for you to even feel bad. But at the same time, it's like you're 42, like get out of your own head and get out of your own space and feelings and kind of just live in the real world with the rest of us. Listen, it is what it is. At the bottom line is he has a star and he's a good competitor. Like he's going to be able to keep his star no matter, well, I don't know, no matter what, but I think that he should be able to keep his star unless someone comes back and steals it from him. Like he should be solid to know, like, yo, I've played a good game. I've been at the top for X amount of weeks. Like I'm a good competitor. And I think that was also part of Adam's issue with Steve. It's not just like, oh, I'm trying to get Steve out because he has a star. Like his point was, listen, you've been in the bottom 5 of the last 7 challenges. Like you have not been performing, whether you have a star or not, whether you've been in elimination or not, you have not been performing. So why are you here? Like I would rather you go in and somebody take your star anyway, so that one of these other people, someone like Derek, someone like Ace, can have a star. It's not far off, but I just think that the dichotomy of it was just so crazy how he really just flipped and was like, nah, fuck you. He's like, I'm getting sweaty talking about this asshole. Like, hold on. Where is this coming from? Like, that's what I want to get more context from. Like, what happened? But again, I think the final is probably going to start happening next week. If not at the end of the episode, probably midway through, we'll probably get the purge happening. And so we'll see how this is starting to play out. But I just think that's going to be interesting to see what Adam's next move is going to be and how the other women in the house are playing to get a star.
Yeah, because Veronica still has a star. Somebody else, Avery could get her star back from Veronica. Flora could probably just get her star. Laurel can get her star. Like there's endless options to be a star holder at this point in the game. But at this point, also with Adam, I just popped in my head. Him and Steve just have to fight. Like Steve's been in the nation, like fight in the nation at least, like because yes, Steve has not been that great in the dailies, but he's in the nation. He's still winning. Like you can't get rid of Steve unless you do it yourself. So if they get a chance to beat Nation together, and that's gonna be funny to see. So I would that's on my wish list for the end of the season. Get them both elimination and let them just duke it out because this is they're playing a
Yeah, I
long
mean,
game.
I I think, I mean, the game is over, so it ain't long. I think that they do need to duke it out at some point though, because I think that would be just a good matchup for Adam's sake at least. Because I know that everyone's like Steve, like elimination slayer, blah blah blah, and not to not give credit to Steve, but Steve hasn't had one against some people who weren't 100%. So I'm gonna give his credit where credit is due because he did win at the end of the day, and you can only go up against the opponent that you have. If it's a little easier because someone's knee is messed up or somebody can't see correctly, who cares? Like, like there's two sides to it. So I do want to say, like, Adam again has a point. You have been in the bottom, brother. You have not been performing so well this whole season.
Yeah. But that's gonna be fun to see next week and moving forward. Uh, every week we have our playlist segment with music from the episodes of All Stars. And this week, our choice was the same choice because at the start of the daily challenge, TJ rode up on his bike and they played Pony by Genuine. And that had me cracking up because everybody's reaction to TJ, first off, on the bike, sent me. Like, everybody, yeah, look at TJ. And Pony was playing in the background.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of TJ having fun in these challenges this whole season, whether it be early on with him in the cart going down basically a slide uh in that challenge, or him being a part of the beginning of this, driving something, driving a bus, driving this bike, like. And we know TJ's story in terms of his accident and how he has have to overcome just being here with us alive and still hosting the show and doing all of these things. So I think on All Stars it is fun to see TJ kind of be in an element where he can have a little bit more fun, and he knows the people a little bit better. So it's not like him coming out of left field. Like, he has banter with Tina, he has banter with just the cast in general. He's able to kind of show himself more with things that he does, like riding a bike, which is something that he was known for before he was the host of the challenge. So I think it is fun to see TJ in his element like this. But yeah, I mean, that was the only relevant song that I was paying attention to. There was one other, but it completely escapes me. So we're just gonna end off with Pony. But I do think that it's a good song.
I also realized they could have also played it right before the nation started because you saw the montage of Steve and Jay take off their shirts to get into the tank, and then they go to TJ and he's like opening up his jacket, like, yeah, sultry. It could have been there too.
It could have not had went there. Thank you guys so much for listening, because I don't know what you're talking about. Uh, thank you guys for listening this week. If you guys would like to follow us on Twitter, you can at Duel Alliance Pod. If you want, you can follow Megan and her sultry self at Megs and Hines. You can follow myself at Ace_S5. And if you are listening, you can watch this on YouTube at Duel Alliance Podcast. We'll be back to conclude All Stars next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.